multi-skilled. Yeah.
It's 22 minutes to 8. You might have thought that video sharing websites would be the bane of teachers' lives, offering a constant distraction from lessons and homework.
But history teachers in South Yorkshire have enlisted the internet to post a series of lessons on YouTube, and they've seen a drastic improvement in exam results, with boys doing especially well. Well, we asked a group of teenagers what they thought of the idea.
I thought it was like really interesting to just watch a video instead of like looking at all words on the board and that.
In some lessons I start falling asleep because I find it really boring, and with the slideshows it'd make it more easier and comfortable, and you would want to watch it and not just like, oh yeah, whatever.
It is quite annoying sometimes when teachers are rabbiting on about different stuff like that, and some people, like young people, might know it.
It's appealing to people our age, and it's not got like that much writing on each slide, so it's good to all take in at the same time.
You can easily just crack on a computer and just see Henry VIII, Bobsy's uncle.
Oh, is he? Well, it seems to be going down well. Then Roy Huggins is one of the history teachers using YouTube in lessons, and Tristram Hunt is a historian, as you'll know. Good morning to you both. What prompted you, first of all, to do this? It's been running for some time, this practice of putting lessons on YouTube.
Well, we've been designing lessons for websites like schoolhistory.co.uk and creating similar types of resources for a long time now. And this year's SHP conference, Tony Fox and Dan Morehouse were chatting away, well, talking about ways in which their students were uploading videos to YouTube. And we're saying, well, look, if we want to engage these kids, we need to put resources onto YouTube as well to kind of grab them and engage them and get them interested.
And it seems to be working.
Yeah. I mean, it's the audio-visual thing, rather than getting things flat out of a book. It really brings it to life to a certain extent, doesn't it?
Very much so. I mean, there are different types of learners. There are people who are audio learners, visual learners. It's about creating multimedia sort of like resources that appeals to all learners. I mean, variety's got to be the spice of life, and it's important in the classroom as well that you try all sorts of different types of strategies.
Tristan, would you adhere to that?
Yes, I think this is very exciting. First of all, it takes history out of the classroom, which is exciting. So if it is this thing which just happens on a wet Tuesday morning and you think you can have a sleep, but actually, the clips we saw, they're sitting around, they're looking at this. And the internet has been very interesting for history. A lot of local history has come off the internet, a lot of genealogical research, and even, some forms of gaming, games like Civilization and things where you look back at how societies evolve. So I think it's a very exciting model. I mean, it seems to me as much an advert, as it were, for history. It's like the bit when you go to the museum and you're a bit tired and you think, well, I'll just look at the video first and then I'll begin. And it hopefully draws you in to the process. So you want to go and look at the social history of the football team, look at the social history of World War I.
At some point, when it's whatever period of history you're studying, though, you do have to knuckle down and get your head in the books, don't you? You do, yes. And, there's a role for textbooks, there's a role for multimedia, there's a role for video clips, there's a role for variety. You do whatever you have to do to keep the kids engaged and keep them enjoying it. If they're enjoying it, they'll learn and they'll be successful.
Well, what about, we all know the internet can be a great time waster. Do they not get distracted?
Kids spend a lot of time on the internet. They spend a lot of time with iPods. We're talking about 21st century students here, and if you want to engage 21st century students, you have to find where they're hanging out and what they're doing, and get them involved. I mean, the internet's a great resource. It has great dangers as well. And
I think it's particularly important that young boys are looking at this, because there is a real problem with getting them engaged in some of the history. You can't just teach them about wars and battles all the time. You have to teach them.
But does that not suggest that we're not being creative enough in the classroom? I had a fantastic history teacher who run around and he was terribly active and he made lessons fun. Does it not just suggest that we need to do more in the classroom?
I think this can never be a substitute for exciting, engaged teachers in the classroom. It's just another tool you can use. So they're interested in this. Maybe they're going to turn up to the history lesson. They're going to be more interested. They're going to have questions. They're going to be engaged in the actual learning.
What actually goes into these presentations? Because we've seen a quick look at one or two of them. They just what we're getting there is sort of a moving slide against the background of pop music. Do you do that with all the subjects, like Bloody Sunday, D-Day, the slave trade?
A massive variety of subjects. I mean, we use, let's say, archive footage. We use sort of like pictures, and we use a lot of stuff from the BBC actually, and we merge it together with, as you say, popular music. But, you know, anything we can to sort of like just make it that more enjoyable. I mean, just picking up something which Tristan said. I mean, it's about actually extending the classroom to a home. You know, I mean, the kids can download the stuff at home. They can play with it. They can make their own versions. They can upload it to YouTube or the school website, and then they can actually say, well, sir, I produced something better. And you get that nice competition going, which the lads love, of course. You know, but I mean, you know, boys and girls love playing around with
and
technology.
infused teachers, I presume. I mean, what has the reaction been in general?
Most of my students really enjoy what they do. I mean, tend to find these resources are very, very popular. In terms of history, we're the most popular subject in our options.
Which is always going to be good for you.
It's always good for the industry.
Yeah.
We like that. I think just finally it also shows that there's so many different resources in history. So having colour pictures, having early moving film, actually, you know, for these kids to get their hands on the primary research, you know, which is what's so interesting, the actual authenticity of the past is really exciting.
Good.
Brilliant.
Well, brilliant. Thank you both very much indeed for coming in. Tristan, Roy, thank you.
It's coming up to 7:45. This is Breakfast. These are the main stories this morning.